Welcome to the new edition of Proxy Wars. Today we're going to be talking about the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Bay of Pigs invasion was intended to provoke popularity for an uprising against Fidel Castro, who had overthrown an American-backed dictator, Fulgencio Batista. Instead, it gave Castro military victory and a permanent symbol of Cuban resistance to American aggression. In 1962, President Kennedy goes on television and informs the world that the Soviet Union has placed missile installations in Cuba only 90 miles away from the American mainland. If the world, and especially the American public, was shocked by the revelation, the Kennedy administration was not. The president had known about the installations for a while now. He waited until he received final confirmations on October 16th, when a U.S. U-2 spy plane returned high-altitude photographs clearly showing the presence of at least 15 Soviet surface-to-air missile launchers. There were also unconfirmed reports of SS-3 and SS-4 missiles on an airfield outside of Havana, which, if true, put most of the eastern seaboard and southern United States within range of Soviet nuclear warheads. Russian military personnel and technicians were also known to be on the mainland. Cuba is a small island off the coast of America, highlighted in red. The Cuban ethnicity is mostly Spanish. The capital city is Havana. However, what made Cuba so important was the fact that it brought Russian missiles so close to the United States coast, endangering many lives of many people. When Fidel Castro took over Cuba in 1959, the Russians were unsure about the revolutionary leader. Many government officials simply saw him as a lackey of the United States. Castro first appeared to be a dictator that the CIA had planted in Cuba in the eyes of most Russian politicians. A real opportunity for the Soviet Union to discover how much Cuba seemed to threaten the United States was when the Bay of Pigs fiasco occurred in the early part of 1961. The invasion coincided with Nikita Khrushchev's birthday. He viewed this as a birthday present from the Americas. The Soviet Union was finally convinced that Cuba was not friendly with the United States, and Cuba was looking for an ally that would protect them against American aggression. With the announcement of Castro stating that Cuba would be a communist country, Khrushchev began to search for ways that he could protect Cuba from a future United States-supported invasion. He said that if Russia were to become a great nation, it needed to protect its allies to show the Americans that they were not going to be pushed around. Now you might ask yourself why we started talking about the Bay of Pigs invasion before talking about the Cuban Missile Crisis. The reason being is that the Cuban Missile Crisis was essentially a result of the Bay of Pigs invasion. As Cuba strongly opposed America, and America failed at invading Cuba, the Russian government quickly decided to take advantage of their ally that was so close in range to America, posing a very big threat to the American public and the American government. As Russia settled into Cuba, that attracted a lot of media attention. With media attention came the making of a movie, Rocky. Rocky, the guy on the left, small American character, facing the big USSR boxer on the right. Rocky ends up winning the fight and sending a clear message out to USSR. We will not give up as the American country, as the American public. We will persist on fighting, and you will get out of Cuba. Throughout history, we're able to see many reasons surrounding the start of a war. Some of the reasons are fighting for independence, freedom, resources, and land. However, other reasons are because of previous wars. A major example is the First and Second World War. Many historians say the Second World War was a result of the First World War. At the Treaty of Versailles, an agreement was reached. The agreement was to leave all the economic debt of the war to Germany. This made the German country extremely poor. Many workers started to revolt. The minute details of the war can be found in my piece about the wars. The point is that wars start because of previous wars or battles. In our Cuban Missile Crisis, it's clearly shown that the Bay of Pigs motivated Russia to support and create an alliance with Cuba, creating the first real nuclear war threat. Although thankfully no nukes were fired, It was a very scary and tense moment. The tensions between America and the Soviet Union rise and fall as the Cold War goes on. However, there is no doubt in my mind that the Bay of Pigs invasion solidifies the USSR's decision of becoming Cuba's allies and making the strategic move of moving missiles in closer proximity to America. Thanks for joining me. I'm your host, Florin Dorlia.